You find yourself facing a demonic gazer beast. Roll for initiative. Critical hit. Good job. As I said in the last Glyos recap, we're going to put that format away so we can incorporate the very rare and very occasional Glyos review into random review, not only to give you a little bit more variety in the series, but also because this way you might actually have a chance of finding these in stock while I'm talking about them. Because by the time it's the recap, it's like 2 months have gone by and like they're long gone. So we're going to do it this way instead. And we're going to start with one I've been meaning to make a video of for a while now, because there's no Glyos toy I have followed as closely as I have the Biomass Monster from Biomasters, a creation of Patrick Bussey. This is absolutely demonic looking, and I kind of love it. This is what I mean about like Glyos potential. Everyone creates something completely different from each other, and it is amazing. What you're looking at here is the Type 0, the very first release of the Biomass Monster, and right away you can tell a lot of work went into making this very otherworldly creature. Very what am I looking for here? Very Cthulhuoid. Right? Very dark old one looking. Extremely cool. Now this one was the very first release, and you can see the paint is very, very bare on this, but you can see how much detail went into the sculpting. The big maw, these giant claws with the little blisters and pustules popping up out of them, and all the way to these wings. I've been waiting forever for Glyos toys that had wings. Thank you so much. Little spines and all this. A lot of detail. A lot of molding and sculpting went into this. What you're looking at was the very first release, and I think that was a brilliant idea. The last time I did a random review for a single Glyos toy, it was the AV Robot by Nemo's Factory, and it started its life with a super expensive, very heavily painted release that I think pushed a lot of people away instead of being able to get it into their hands readily and affordably. This, with the minimum paint apps, was very easy to get into to find out whether or not it was a Glyos toy for you. Much, much better tactic. So, like I said, been following this one for a while. Like I've shown off before, but we'll show him again. My little Diablo, which is actually a completely resin cast prototype long before it ever made it to production. Super heavily glittered in red. Pat released a bunch of these as he was developing the Biomass Monster. So I've always been very thankful that I have one in my collection. Very, like I said, very demonic in color. Now, it's missing a few parts because back then he was producing them kind of to be unique, so not every single one had all the same part layout. But the full production ones have all the parts together. So that is the resin proto, and here is the T2 factory proto, where he's done in this kind of olive green, kind of a dingy green color, completely unpainted, of course. You can already see a few of the differences aside from the change of parts. For starters, a lot more of the parts can come apart. For instance, like one of the claws here is actually a separate piece, so you can do whatever you want with it. And some of the tendrils are also able to split, something that this one cannot do. You'll also notice he changed the angle of the legs. It's much taller now. And that's also helpful because the PVC of the Glyos toy probably would not have been able to hold up on the little points of the claws like he can when he's hard cast resin. So that is how you go from a hand cast prototype to a factory run prototype to your very first release. And that is the story of the Biomaster. Very, very cool. And since then, everything has been pushed to the limit. I'm going to go ahead and show you the first full release, the first fully painted, like fully intended release. I forget the name of it, but holy crap. I probably used artwork of this guy for the thumbnail in this video. Look at the paintwork on this guy. You got the panel lining going around, separating all those spots. The teeth are painted in, the eyes, different colors now. Look, all the sickles have been painted in, and ooh, the wings. Oh, that two-tone purple on the wings. Oh man, this guy looks awesome. Two-tone purple, that black and the bright blue. It's a little bit Nemesis Prime, isn't it? But it works. It works so well. I love how this thing looks. It's so alien and otherworldly. If you follow my Glyos videos for a while, you know, that's the way I like him. It definitely suits him. Very, very cool. Now he's done a bunch of them now. Like you've got plenty. You've had plenty of options if you've been following him. These things also look really good in translucence. Here you have this super sparkly kind of dark pink with these sharp metallic blue paint naps. Very cool looking. Again, very space alien, very otherworldly. It's really hitting my sweet spot here, guys. I'm not ashamed to admit this is really, really cool stuff. All right, so I want to go ahead and show you what this thing can do, and I was going to have a whole bunch of builds waiting so you can see just how versatile these toys are, but thankfully, Pat went ahead and did a few official releases that kind of mix things up, so I don't have to do that so much. So I'm going to start just by showing off the part count, see how many different pieces this thing breaks down into. You can tell there's a whole bunch of parts to do whatever you really want. You got the I got the ball rolling away on me. You got the little sickle arms, of course, and you got the wings. They kind of have these little arm stems to them that part of me wishes they didn't have. It's because it makes it a little bit hard to do some builds with, but hey, I'm not complaining. Wings are wings. You get a cool little tripod piece where it goes off in 3 directions. That's something Glyos didn't have before. Interesting little waist joint. That big ball. There's a whole bunch of things you could do with this. Look at, man, this probably wasn't the best plastic to use, but you can see all those holes. Those are all Glyos sockets. You can peg so many different things into this. There's so many different things you can do. I've been trying to make a quintesson. I haven't quite figured it out yet, but one day I will figure it out. And of course you've got, the eye is a separate piece. The mouth is a separate piece. The tendrils can come apart. 2 of the tendrils can come apart, and 1 remains solid. That way, you have some stability if you want to use it as a leg. That's why there's only 1 claw comes off of the legs as well, so that the others are nice and stable and allows for balance without sagging or anything. But because it is Glyos, you can just keep connecting tendrils onto each other and make super long ones, make super short ones. This is going to be your toy, so you do whatever you want with it. And little spines and details and things, which is also nice. Sometimes he actually sells just separate parts, which is really cool because it allows you to create even more bestial things, or it lets you have just certain things. If you want tendrils for a Glyos build, or if you just want the wings, or if you want extra spikes, that's what that's for. So I like it when he includes those options. Including those options let you actually create your own little hell beast, however you want. There's something that I whipped up, which is very Little Shop of Horrors, now that I look at it again. Very, very much just the Mad Devourer, as I've come to dub it. So that's just a little example of what you can do. Luckily, like I said, Pat came up with some official ones, because it was a fantasy month of Glyos, and he decided to roll in with some Dungeons and Dragons related stuff. So, as they all tumble over on me as I try to pull one out. So he came up with his own Beholder, which is absolutely epic. So this is a little bit of the unofficial build. He had the claws standing in as the forelegs to kind of hold him floating there. I found they're actually a little bit too weak to support the weight of the toy, so we switched in tendrils. Or I guess we're going to pretend they are eye stalks that are just pointed down, if this truly is a Beholder. Oh, I'm sorry. Legal reasons. Gazer Beast. Let's not upset the deities of Hasbro now. But yeah, so cool. It's such a clever thing to use those little balls on the tips of the claws as extra eyes. So cool. And yeah, all those different colors to the eyes. Ooh, the grimmest. Is that an extra mouth down there? Ugh. Like I said, extra parts sometimes comes in handy. And This guy actually, like, there is a full biomass monster, by the way. When you bought this guy, he did have the wings, and he had all the extra parts that you don't see here, extra eye, etc. So don't think that you got gypped or this or anything. You could build just like a standard one here, but why would you? It's a freaking beholder. That's absolutely epic. And to go with it, he also created this monstrosity. I'm not even sure if this is supposed to be a Dungeons and Dragons creature, but it's this flesh tone and muscle tone. It's like it looks like pulled flesh. It's like flesh pulling away from the muscle. It's creepy looking. But it kind of means it's up my alley. There's this mouth just waiting for something to chew on. But yeah, tendrils and spikes and a little tiny scorpion-esque tail. And again, all the different things you can do with a single Glyos build. And with a little help from a hub set via Onell Designs, he also created basically an infant one. So this is the most twisted of Pokemon evolutions you could ever imagine. Here's the basic, here it is evolved. Except it doesn't evolve by level. You actually have to sacrifice a human soul, which is a little bit hard to do in the Pokemon games. But man, this guy can tank a gym, so it's so worth it. Yeah, this was a cool little pair to come up with. It's just, look at its mouth coming out like that. It's so freaking creepy. Extremely cool. I love this stuff. And yeah, if you're wondering, like, just if you're an articulation stickler, so yeah, Glyos means everything swivels on a Glyos point. So you're not going to get any universal range of motion, but you got plenty of stuff to work with here if you actually want to pose them in different ways. That's how it works. It's all kind of old school swivel technology. Of course, there are things like axis joints that allow you to have full universal range. And if I remember right, these things also each come with a switch pin, which means one of these sockets, one of the sockets on these Glyos toys can connect to another socket. It's just a pin that goes in both sides, which means even more building options and more ways of combining with other Glyos toys. So that is my look at the absolutely epic world of the biomass monster. This is a lunatic toy. Like, the design of it is absolutely crazy. If you're into that Cthulhuid mythology, you know, if you're into like the big space alien design, this is so cool. And to think you can even come up with geek references like this out of the design is absolutely epic. Really makes me wonder just what else is going to come out of Biomasters. Because I know there might be something else in the future he's prototyped before, but for now, this thing has so many different options. I think he's going to be fine for a while.